is the person, or what is the person, but more importantly, who could the person be, or what should they be? And that's a very strange thing about people, right? I mean, if you have a cat, you don't really sit around thinking, what could this cat be? Because it's a cat, and you know, if it has offspring, they're going to be cats, and in 1,000 years, they're still going to be just cats. But people, well, we're strange in ways that are virtually incomprehensible, and we're not only what we are, but we're also what we could be. And in many cases, especially for people of your age, you're way more what you could be than what you are. And so focusing on what you could be is an extremely important thing to do. And in fact, there's plenty of research, and some of it's associated with the writing exercises that I told you about earlier, that if you make efforts to define who you could be, and you know, in a way that you find interesting, because you might as well shape yourself into something that you want to be, that increases the efficiency with which you work substantially, and also makes you a better person by reasonable measures of better, which sort of means happier and healthier and, you know, more acceptable, or at least less repulsive to other people. There are two things that you have to take into account when you're thinking about personality, and one of those is how personality stays the same across time, and that's really what gives you your identity and what allows you to identify other people, and then also how personality changes. If you're happy, you're talkative. That might not be surprising, but the fact that those two things are tightly connected was one of the things that was discovered by the factor analytic processes that led to the development of the Big Five. In the Big Five, there are roughly 5 traits, as the name might indicate. Extroversion, which is a positive emotion trait. Neuroticism, which is a negative emotion trait. Agreeableness, which is warmth and empathy, compassion. The other side of that is kind of a harsh coldness, I guess. Openness, which is both intelligence and creativity. And conscientiousness, which is industriousness and orderliness. Now, there are virtues, so to speak, and faults associated with all of those dimensions. So you can be too extroverted, which makes you rather impulsive, and if you're very extroverted, it's more difficult to get good grades in university because you're always out having fun with your friends and partying. And that might be good in that it'll help you develop a fairly extensive social network, which is a useful thing if you're associated with people who are useful for social networking purposes, but it can really interfere with your ability to sit by yourself and study. If you're conscientious, that's a good predictor of academic success, because conscientious people do what they say they're going to do, and they seem to suffer shame and self-disgust and self-contempt and guilt and so on if they don't. And so the point of all this is that there are 5 traits, and they have positive and negative aspects, especially at the extremes. And these programs are set up, first of all, so that you'll see a series of adjectives that are universal descriptors. In one half of the exercise, a list that represents your virtues, and then in the other half of the exercise, a list that represents your faults.
I want to talk to you today because I hope that of all the talks that happen here, you forget about me, but that this changes your life. And I want to remind you of something as I begin today, that you were born to do something great with your life. That you're extraordinary, listen to me, that you're enough, that you're special, that you're favored, that you're chosen, regardless of where you come from, regardless of what you've been carrying with you. Some of you come in here today, and you know what? You've even thought of harming yourselves. Maybe you're even proud of the fact you haven't killed yourself. But every day, some of us are killing ourselves with the shame we carry from something we've done, some humiliation, some fear. We put this gun to our head every day that tells us we're not enough. We're not strong enough, pretty enough, smart enough, favored enough, that we're doomed. And we carry these guns in our head every day that shame us, that take our confidence from us, that steal our joy. It's like a knife. You don't have to kill yourself because you do it every day. You do it over and over and over again. And there's a better way forward. You can put those things down in your life. You could decide today that you were born to do something great. You could set aside this weapon that you keep using against yourself to hold you back from your joy, from your passion, from your achievement, from all the goodies in life. You could decide today, just intentionally, to set this weapon down, whatever it is. Something from your childhood, a divorce, a business failure, something you're just not proud of that you've done. Set it down. Stop using it as a weapon against yourself and realize that happened for you and not to you. I'll prove it to you. I'm a big believer in fake it till you make it. I don't want you seeing, people say, well, social media is so full of like these fake lives. People have always lived fake lives. I was living a fake life way before social media came along. In fact, when I became an entrepreneur, I wanted to be somebody so bad. I wanted to be rich so bad. I thought, if I don't look successful, no one's going to listen to me. Who's going to listen to a young kid in business about how to save your money when I didn't have any? That was my own limiting belief. What's yours? You have this kind of convoluted limiting belief about why you can't do something right now that's your own BS story you keep telling yourself. How about you just drop that story? How about you just decide it's a lie, even if it is true? I'm not going to just teach you not to tap into your pain. I'm going to teach you how to do it. Okay, I teach people how to change things technically, but I believe in this concept of living blissfully dissatisfied, which means there's a way. Most achievers have it backwards. They think, hey, if I enjoy my success, I'm going to lose all my drive, right? And then other people that aren't successful yet, haven't reached what they want, or they delay their bliss until a destination in the future. Once I get this relationship, once I make that money, once I get that car, once I have that home, then I'll let myself feel bliss. And so I teach you that the concept is you can live blissfully and still be dissatisfied. Your pathway to changing how you feel about yourself, of getting to the next level, is always giving. I have this thing I kind of run my life through that kind of is my governor on my life of when I'm trying to give and when I'm trying to make a difference for people. And I just have this hallucination. I am a Christian, and so I believe that someday when I die, there's an accounting. I'm actually one of these very interesting people that I believe in the quantum field and energy because I know it exists, and I believe my Lord and Savior created it. You have whatever your belief is wonderful. I don't preach. I just want you to know. I know there's an energy field. I know there's a God. I just want you to know that. So you believe your beliefs. I respect them. I admire them. I have people from every belief center in the world on my program. But I just want to say to you, this is my prism I live my life through. It governs my decision making, and I make mistakes all the time. One of the cool things about being a Christian is I'm saved by the grace of God because I know I'm going to sin. That's one of the cool things about my particular faith. But the point that I want to make, because I sin all the time, I make mistakes all the time. I've already used profanity, I think, 4 times in this talk, so I know for sure. I've made some mistakes, but let me tell you how I govern my life. I believe at the end of my life there's an accounting, and I'm going to sit in front of my Lord, and I want him to say, well done, good and faithful.
Well, first of all, a lot of companies don't foster leadership. They don't have a leadership environment. They'll come and say, I love your leadership principles, but I'm not a leader because I don't have the position. In fact, I wrote a book several years ago called The 360-Degree Leader. And I wrote it for that person that, kind of is in the middle, how to influence or lead people above you, beside you, and, kind of around you, that 360 idea, helping them understand that the key to leading people, even if you're not in a leadership environment, is, again, influence. So the question now comes down, then how do I influence people? And if I do influence people, how do I increase that influence? And my answer is very simple. We increase the influence with people when we intentionally add value to them on a consistent basis. Because if you think about people in your life that have a high influence on your life. They've really added a lot of value to you. And so what I share, I do a little simple formula that kind of works. And that is every day, consistency compounds. So you put consistency with intentionality. And you've got a powerful combination. So every day, every day I basically do 5 things. Every day, first of all, I value people. It begins there. Because if I don't truly value people, I won't add value to them. You don't add value to people that you don't value. You don't add value to anything you don't value. So every day I value people. That's where it starts. But then every day I think of ways to add value to people. So, I mean, I'll look at my calendar and I look at my agenda today and I realize I was going to be with you. And I think, well, okay, how can I add value to you? What can I do for impact theory that'll, just help? Because again, if you're constantly adding value to people, you're going to be of great value to people. Then I look for ways to add value to people. When I'm in the setting, I'm looking for, okay, what can I do? What can I say? What we see is what we look for. And so if I'm looking to add value, guess what? I'll see ways to add value to it. Somebody else might be beside you, not add value at all to you. But I look for ways. And then number 4, I do things that add value to people. And then number 5, I encourage others to add value to people. And I've just lived that simple formula. I do that every day of my life. It's very simple. And I try to help other people do that, understanding that if they do that, wherever they are, leadership culture, not a leadership culture, doesn't really matter. They'll begin to influence and begin to lead people, and they'll begin to make a difference in people's lives. And I think that's essential. But I think you have to be intentional, and I think you have to be consistent. Consistency compounds. I'm 72, and I've been doing leadership for 50 years. And so when people say, well, how'd you become a leadership guru and all these things that you got? I tell them it's just consistency.